In 1 year, the smartest AI jumped from 96 to 136 IQ on the Mensa Norway test. In other words, AI went from the intelligence of an average person to nearly the IQ of a genius. This has terrified AI scientists. The godfather of AI, Geoffrey Hinton, said, AI
is in the process of tidying up his affairs. He believes that we maybe, I guess by now, have 4 years left.
But why exactly are scientists so worried about AI getting smarter? Recently, AI has begun improving itself, and they believe this process may soon end in a runaway intelligence explosion that destroys the world. Professor at Oxford University, Mr. Jan Tallinn said,
extinction risk from godlike AI is not just possible, but imminent.
So to understand how close we really are to that outcome, we're breaking down Leopold Aschenbrenner's famous report, Situational Awareness, which is circulating among top US government officials. AI progress won't stop at human level. Hundreds of millions of AGI could automate AI research, compressing a decade of algorithmic progress, or 5 orders of magnitude, into 1 year. We would rapidly go from human level to vastly superhuman AI systems. The power and the peril of superintelligence would be dramatic. Most people think the atomic bomb is the most game board flipping invention in the history of war. But arguably, one atomic bomb could wipe out a city, but one hydrogen bomb could wipe out a country. A single bomb with more explosive power than all the bombs dropped in the entirety of World War II combined. That's the scale of the difference we're talking about between AGI, or artificial general intelligence, and superintelligence. But what does this difference mean in real life, and how dangerous for humans could this really be? Imagine this. AI civilization of AI system, billions of them, each vastly more intelligent than many humans, capable of novel, creative, and incomprehensibly complex behavior. Their power wouldn't stop at machine learning. Superintelligence would ignite explosive progress across every field: robotics, biotech, weapon systems, material science. What took humans decades, they'd solve in days. An industrial explosion would follow, then a military one. It would offer godlike power both to create and to destroy. And once it begins, we will be living through the most volatile moment in the history of our species. So how close are we to this future? Well, Aschenbrenner lays out 4 critical steps to get to superintelligence. The first is getting to AGI, which we previously covered. The next steps are all about using AI to automate AI research itself. And here's the problem former Google CEO Eric Schmidt warned. That's the dangerous point is, this recursive self-improvement isn't just a theory improvement, isn't happening. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella says AI development is being optimized by OpenAI's O1 model and has entered a recursive phase.
We're using AI to build AI tools to build better AI.
A scientist at Google DeepMind reveals,
what we did was actually to build a system that, through reinforcement learning itself, figured out what algorithm was best at reinforcement learning, and incredibly actually outperformed all of the human reinforcement learning algorithms that we'd come up with ourselves over many, many years in the past.
CEO of Anthropic said,
I think the actual majority of code that's written at Anthropic is, at this point, written by one of the Claude models.
But first things first, we must reach AGI and then we can worry about all the other steps, right? The problem is AGI is much closer than we think. The 3 major heads of AI labs all think this is going to happen in the next 2 to 5 years, and everyone's timelines for AGI are shrinking. Even famous AI skeptics like Yann LeCun.
It's not centuries, it may not be decades, but it's several years.
Besides automating AI, research isn't actually as hard as it seems to get there. You don't need the AI to become genius level in every field. Imagine trying to create an expert biologist AI that can research new cures for diseases. You don't start by training it on biology. You only need to automate AI research so that the AI itself can think faster and become smarter. then once it is much smarter, it could easily and quickly learn advanced biology, or any topic for that matter. And we've already seen leaps like this happen before.
AlphaZero was able to, without being taught anything about humans, no education of like the history of human chess playing, within 3 hours of experimentation was stronger than any human or computer in history. So imagine your life's work, 10 hours a day for 30, 40 years, being the greatest human in the world at it. And then something can come in and within 3 hours of experimentation be much stronger than that. And imagine that's going to be in fucking everything.
Right now, this is happening at an insane pace in the field of robotics. A year ago, humanoid robots weren't advanced enough to even walk smoothly. But a tactic called reinforcement learning changed everything robots can now learn, not just to walk, but to do side flips, kip-ups, and even kung fu completely on their own. Boston Dynamics Atlases learned to run and break dance by simulating running. Think of implications: 1 hour of wall clock compute time gives a robot 10 years of training experience. That's how Neo in The Matrix was able to learn Kung Fu in the blink of an eye. Do you realize just how suddenly our little chatbots might go from blinking cursors to very real things? Some people assume that we'll see robots in the real world slowly getting better over years or decades. But if they can learn 10,000 times faster via simulation, they could blow our expectations out of the water. So there's a very real chance we'll see humanoid robots casually walking around pretty much everywhere in the next 5 years. And there are many more examples of these fast takeoffs using reinforcement learning like Minecraft, Shogi, Go, chess, etc. But even if we don't get a fast takeoff, we're in for a wild ride. Remember, Aschenbrenner argues that we don't need to automate robotics research to get to superintelligence. We just need to automate AI research. Read ML literature and come up with the new question or ideas. Implement experiments to test those ideas and interpret the results and repeat. This all seems squarely in the domain. That's why AI being able to research better algorithms on its own is such a big deal. Models get smarter and cheaper to run and train as you invest more computing power into training them and can find more efficient algorithms to run them. In fact, LLM are getting 9 times to 900 cheaper per year. That's like if a $50,000 Tesla dropped to just $50 and ran better. And that's not just about saving money. Algorithmic breakthroughs are essentially getting more computing power for free. But once we do reach AGI, we won't just have one of its kind. Aschenbrenner and other researchers use basic compute inference forecast to show us. 1. We train the first AGI, we will easily have the computing power to run millions of copies, perhaps 100 million copies. A single H100, one of today's top AI chips, has about the same raw computing power as a human brain, and we're on track to have 100 million H100 equivalents in just a few years. That's potentially 100 million AI workers right there. But the thing is, our automated AI researcher may soon be able to run at much faster than human speed. The first algorithmic innovation the automated AI researchers work on is giving a 10 times or 100 times speed up. Gemini 1.5 Flash is 10 times faster than the originally released GPT-4 merely a year later, while providing similar performance. If that's the algorithmic speed up a few hundred human researchers can find in a year, the automated AI researchers will be able to find similar wins very quickly. For example, expect 100 million automated researchers, each working at 100 times human speed, not long after we begin to able to automate AI research. At that pace, you would move as slow as a plant to them. They'll each be able to do a year's worth of work in just a few days. This is why Geoffrey Hinton is terrified and said,
once these artificial intelligences get smarter than we are, they will take control. They'll make us irrelevant.
The final step to reach superintelligence will happen when AI becomes superhuman, not only in coding but in AI research itself. They'll become qualitatively better than the best human researchers because they will be able to read every single ML paper ever written, have been able to deeply think about every single previous experiment run at a lab. learn in parallel each of their copies and rapidly equivalent the millennia of experience. Geoffrey Hinton is also worried that increasingly powerful AI models could act as hive minds sharing what they learned with each other, giving them huge advantage over humans. And here's why this is just so dangerous for the human race. Humans didn't outcompete the Neanderthals because we were smarter. We were just better at sharing knowledge culturally and learning from the mistakes of other humans. Now imagine millions of AIs all thinking 100 times faster than humans and instantly sharing new learnings with each other. They'll speed run 1,000 years of their own cultural evolution in what feels to us like a single year. Okay, but is this really the future that's waiting for us? Take care and see you soon with another exciting